Okay, please, time is fast spent. We still have our AGM here today. So let's settle down. We welcome our esteemed speakers. By way of establishing protocols, we welcome all of our esteemed speakers who've joined us here. Some of our leaders have been with us since we started yesterday. The likes of our SPE, ARD, our council chair. But welcome all of our esteemed speakers and sponsors for the WLP. Thank you for joining us. For those attendees who are joining us for WLP, you will get to meet our esteemed speakers when it's time for them to speak on the panel or take a keynote. I will, as is our tradition with this event, to appropriately introduce each of our speakers, which serves for us a number of purposes. One is to inspire the next young girl in the room when they hear us tell the story by way of a brief bio of our speakers, that these women can accomplish X or Y, they also can accomplish as much or even more. So when it's time for each of them to speak, you will indulge us. We'll take a moment to really introduce them to you, albeit in a brief manner, so that someone walks away from here thinking or believing, I can if she can. So let's continue with our agenda this afternoon as I welcome our council chairman for his opening remarks at this year's WLP. Please welcome Engineer Francis Nwoche.
Good afternoon, and I'll stand, sit, lean on existing protocols. I don't know what to call it, but it's so nice to be here and to have all these wonderful people here. So good afternoon, distinguished guests, our esteemed speakers, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. My privilege to welcome you to NICE 2026 Women Leadership Program. And I'll probably take a little spin on it. At first glance, our sub-theme, elevating leadership through empathy, well-being, and human-centered decision-making, appears straightforward. But I believe the real challenge is not whether those qualities are important. It's how we apply them without sacrificing performance, accountability, or speed of execution. So, I like to put it this way. Typically, many of you may not know, when we have a conference like this in Spe Naice, in the evenings, after everything, we gather together around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and look at everything that has happened the day before, and look at what's going to happen the next day. And these things that were spoken of that you guys are going to discuss this afternoon, I'm guilty of so many of them when we have those meetings. So when I looked at this, I said, I have to find a balance in this. And I'll be talking about that kind of balance. So as leaders, we know that empathy is essential. Yet, empathy without healthy boundaries can gradually erode accountability. When difficult conversations are constantly avoided, or poor performance is excused in the name of compassion, both individuals and organizations suffer. Great leaders know how to care deeply while still setting clear expectations and holding people accountable. The same is true for well-being. Supporting the well-being of our teams is no longer a new thing. It is fundamental to sustainable success. However, we can't deny it. Our industry is demanding. If you have a rig, they'll tell you one location. I remember as a young engineer, drill engineer, I would sleep in the office. I remember one night, I'm thinking how I'm going to do. I looked around my office, saw some cartons that had been folded. I stretched out the cartons, put them on the floor, and I slept there because we're about to TD, I think about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., and there's no going anywhere. And actually, the hotel had put the company had given me a hotel room at a hotel close to the office, but I couldn't risk going to the hotel and then having issues coming back to make sure that we TD'd the right way. So, our industry is demanding. There will be periods of intense activity. critical operations, and challenging deadlines. The leadership question is not whether fatigue will exist, but how we build resilient teams, create supportive systems, and ensure that periods of high intensity do not become a permanent way of working. That's really how I look at it in a balanced way. Human-centered decision-making presents another leadership balance. Listening to people, seeking diverse perspectives, and building consensus often leads to better decisions. But if every decision is delayed in pursuit of perfect agreement, opportunities can be lost. Leadership requires knowing when to consult broadly and when to make timely decisions with clarity and courage. These are not contradictions. They are the tensions that define exceptional leadership. Today's distinguished speakers have successfully navigated these realities at the highest levels of business and the energy industry. I encourage us to move beyond discussing principles and focus on the practical things which I know they will talk about. How to lead with compassion while maintaining the high standards, how to protect people while still delivering the results, and how to remain human without losing the agility that today's business environment demands. I extend my sincere appreciation to our keynote speaker, distinguished panelists, moderators, sponsors, who I particularly really appreciate. Platform, please, thank you very much. A round of applause for them, please. And every participant for making this program possible. Your willingness to share your experiences and insights will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of what effective leadership truly looks like in today's evolving energy landscape. So I'm confident that today's conversations will leave us not only inspired, but better equipped to lead organizations where empathy strengthens accountability, well-being enhances performance, and human-centered leadership accelerates rather than slows down our progress. On behalf of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigerian Council, I warmly welcome you all even to this session and wish you a productive and impactful one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Francis Muche. Now, one of the things that WLP does or has done through the years is every time you come to these events, one thing is certain, you would leave here better equipped, better informed than you entered as a professional, as an individual, whether you're male or female. This event helps you get better. So, Council Chair, I'm sure there'll be a lot of learning for all of us here today, and we'll walk away being better at leading, as you have said. Thank you. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you very much. With over 3 decades of experience in the oil and gas industry, working in different roles and capacity in the oil and gas industry of the United States of America and beyond, beginning her career first off at Marathon Oil and Gas. She is currently the Department Head of Petroleum Engineering Department at the Colorado School of Mines, where she holds the F.H. Mirelli Cotera Energy Distinguished Department Head Chair. She is, of course, our International President for 2026. Please welcome Professor Jennifer Miss Cummings.
Well, good afternoon. It's indeed an honor to join you. Yeah, it's interesting because I get asked a lot being a female SP president. And what occurs to me is when I get that question a lot, it's usually from younger generation SP members. So how many of you remember the last female SP president? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not the first. What do you think I am, number-wise? 2? Okay, I got a 2. 3? I like this. It's like bidding. Do I hear 4? Do I hear 5? I'm the 6th, so I'm the 6th. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I do get to brag, though. I'm the first female academic president. There we go. Um, but what that occurs to me is when I do speak with students, especially, and they think I am the first. The last one was about, let's see, Shauna was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That actually tells me a lot, because what it says is those young women haven't seen it. They think I'm the first because they've not seen a female president before. And what that says to me on a very large level is representation matters. Representation matters tremendously. And for every generation that comes after, seeing people that are in the roles, seeing what they can become, seeing who they can aspire to be, that is absolutely so critical. And so I love when I see events like this, and I love when I see the powerful women that are sitting in the front row, and the powerful men too. But seeing these women who have been successful, who have navigated challenges, who have gone through the process, it's incredibly inspiring to those that are coming behind you. And so continue to remember that. Continue to remember that it's always great to look forward, but it's always great also to reach a hand back and pull that person up. And whether they are male, whether they are female, it's huge for us to be able to help those next generations that come through. I started with Marathon Oil Company, I did, and similar to our chairman, I started out, in fact, my first 6 years of my career were in the field. I was a production engineer out in the field. I was a production foreman out in the field, which was interesting. They couldn't call me a foreman. They actually called me a foreperson, which was really confusing for everybody because nobody had ever figured out what a foreperson was before. I'm like, just call me a foreman. It's really confusing to everybody. But later in my career, what I didn't realize, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s, is I didn't realize how lucky I was to have the people that were around me that did help me succeed out in an area that maybe had not been populated by my particular gender. And so that also gave me a really great appreciation of reaching back, helping people, and making sure that you're surrounded by not just mentors, but also sponsors and those people that are going to help you through those practices. So congratulations to everybody that's sitting here. Congratulations to you all. Everybody's successful, but let's help each other out, especially in the world of SPE. We need a lot of good people in SPE, no matter what the gender is. So have a great afternoon. I apparently have to go give a radio interview, so I can't stay with you all afternoon. I'd love to. But have a great time, and thank you very much for having me.
Okay. So, for those who are asking and wondering, she has put a clarification out there. As a young female professional, even if you are stepping into an aspect of the industry as the very first woman to do it, the bottom line is you do it excellently, you build a bridge, you create a standard, and you become one to reckon with. That is what she's done through the years, coming to us now as our international president for 2026. Please give her another round of applause. So we are going over now to our first keynote, or the only keynote we have actually. The others are just panel sessions. We're looking now at the theme of our WLP program for today. And to give us that information, if you give me a quick second. There you go. Okay. To give us that information is the country manager and area business head for West Africa at MasterCard, where she leads regional growth, payment innovation, and strategic partnerships advancing a world beyond cash. She has over 30 years of experience across consulting, banking, telecoms, and technology. She drives market performance while working closely with governments and regulators across the region. She has worked in senior leadership roles across PwC, UBA, Airtel Nigeria, First Bank of Nigeria, and was a pioneer digital head of banking and later head of cards and messaging business, managing over 12 million cards and leading large-scale digital transformation initiatives. Now, beyond her professional roles, she remains deeply committed to mentorship, women's empowerment, and inclusive digital innovation across the African continent. A recipient of many awards, one of which will include Top 50 Women in Management Africa and LinkedIn Payment Influencer of 2024, amongst others. Please welcome Dr. Folashade Femi Lawal.
Good afternoon, ladies and the men that loves us. E for she. It's another round of applause for them. It takes great men to be able to sit in the midst of great women and not feel intimidated. So thank you for having me. I was checking with my team that, so what have I to do with SPE? Maybe my future is being evolved at some point. But it's such a joy to be here. The chairman, Engineer Francis, and members of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigeria Council, the planning committee, the distinguished guests, industry leaders, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good afternoon. It's an honor to join you at the 2026 SPE Annual International Conference and Exhibition, particularly for the Women Leadership Program. I want to thank the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigeria Council for the kind invitation and for creating a platform that continues to elevate important conversations about leadership, innovation, and the future of our industries. Now I know why I have to be here, because we are connected in that area. I'm particularly delighted to see this year's Women Leadership Program centered on elevating leadership through empathy, well-being, and human-centered decision-making. It is a timely conversation, not only for women, but for every leader navigating an increasingly complex and interconnected world. Have we wondered why in most corporate organizations and even multinationals, head of human resources are mostly female gender? Have you thought about it? Think through it in the places you've worked. So that's some food for thought. So, when we talk about leadership, we often begin by focusing on strategy, innovation, technology, or results. We all know about that. And of course, ChatGPT can also help us to be on the way in the world we are in now. Those are all important. But after many years of leading across banking, technology, digital payments, and complex partnerships, I have come to believe that leadership succeeds or fails somewhere else. Guess where? It succeeds or fails in how we understand people. We say this cliche that our people are our greatest assets. At the center of innovation or digital transformation is still people. At the center of whatever we want to achieve as an organization, multinational, corporates, indigenous, is still people. Talk about ChatGPT and all of the work that AI is doing. You'll agree with me, at some point you realize there's still the human element to make sense out of the connotations. That's why I believe the future of leadership will not simply belong to the most knowledgeable leaders. It will belong to leaders who combine expertise with humanity. As they say in Nigeria, use your human mind to process whatever it is that you have to do. Now, when I say human-centered leadership, I'm not talking about lowering standards. I'm also not talking about avoiding difficult conversation. That's part of leadership. And I'm certainly not talking about choosing empathy over performance. Not at all. In fact, I have found the opposite to be true. The best leaders I have worked with in over 30 years of my career, they are the ones that care deeply about people. And because they understood people, they made quality decisions. Empathy did not reduce accountability. It strengthened it. For many years, organizations measure leadership largely by technical expertise, your competence. That when you come to the table, you must have something to contribute. Check that. Today, expertise is still important, but expertise alone is not enough. It's no longer enough in our world. Technology can analyze data. ChatGPT can do 1 year's work in 30 minutes. AI can generate insights. Automation can improve efficiency. What none of those can replace is what? Human judgment. The ability to understand context, to navigate uncertainty, to earn trust. And trust is a currency. With time, it compounds. We must not all forget that. And trust can only be built when you are engaging with another human being. To bring people together around a common purpose like we are doing this afternoon. Those are deeply human capabilities. And they are becoming some of the most valuable leadership skills of our time. One lesson I've learned throughout my career is this. Every project, just like this conference, begins as a business challenge. But very quickly, guess how it dovetails? It becomes a people challenge. There is a snack that says, for God so loved the world that he didn't send a committee. Why? Because they wouldn't agree whether Jesus should die or what kind of death he should die. That also shows you the people elements in life. I have experienced that lesson personally throughout my own career. I started as an accountant, as we call bloody accountant. To every credit, there must be a debit. And if someone had told me then that I would one day be leading in digital payments and helping shape conversations around the future of financial services, I would probably have wondered how that journey would unfold. That's Kike in the audience. We were together at PwC, debiting and crediting and consulting for multinationals. It certainly wasn't a straight line. Every transition required me to learn again. As a CEO, I'm still learning. I had about 1 hour session this morning on how to navigate Claude in a deeper way, just before I set out. Because you need to continue to learn. To become comfortable with uncertainty and to embrace opportunities that were outside my original training. What made the difference wasn't simply acquiring new technical knowledge. Because I actually asked myself, maybe it's a career suicide. Making a career transition at age 42 with 4 young children, including a set of twin toddlers. And you still have to be a homemaker and show up as someone's daughter, as someone's wife, as a leader in church and in your community. And you're asking yourself, you are in a room where people are speaking smack talk language, and you're looking from one mouth to the other. So what are they saying? Why are you here? You are better off going back to PwC. But today, I made that shift, and there has been no regrets. And so we must embrace opportunities that were outside our original training. Thank you for celebrating that. What made the difference wasn't simply acquiring new technical knowledge. It was understanding people, building relationships, listening, collaborating, and bringing others along through change. That experience taught me something profound that I still carry with me everywhere I go. Transformation is never only about systems or technology. It's ultimately about people. Whether you're introducing new technology, driving organizational change, managing partnership or leading transformation, the question is really, can we build it? No, the capability is always there. The harder question is, will people embrace it? And I know the panelists is a star-studded lineup. They would deal with that in a just and rich way. But I'm just preparing you. So this is where empathy becomes strategic, because empathy allows leaders to understand what data alone cannot tell us. In God we trust, every other person should bring data. It helps us understand resistance, motivation, fear, aspiration. And when we understand these things, we make better decisions, then we are better leaders. This becomes even more important as we think about the future of the energy industry. So coming on, the theme of this conference speaks about collaborative growth and resilience. Neither collaboration nor resilience happens automatically. They both require what? Trust. There's always a trust element. And trust is built when people feel heard. Think about the complexity of today's energy landscape. Governments, regulators, operators, technology companies, communities, and investors. No single organization has all the answers. Progress depends on our ability to work across differences, work across the how, that require technical expertise, but it also requires empathy. The willingness to understand perspective beyond our own. I also want to speak briefly about well-being, even as I round up. For a long time, we treated well-being as a personal responsibility. Go and sort yourself out, right? Just show up for work. We are all here to work. Something employees were expected to manage on their own. Today, I believe we understand it differently. While individuals have a responsibility for their own well-being, leaders also have a responsibility for the environment they create. Are people thriving or they are surviving by virtue of the environment you create as a leader? Leadership influences whether people feel safe enough to contribute their ideas, confident enough to challenge assumptions, and trusted enough to take ownership. Those things may seem intangible, but they have a very real impact on organization. Healthy organizations don't emerge by chance. They are built intentionally by leaders who understand that sustainable performance is not about driving people harder. It's about creating the condition for people to do their best work consistently. When people are constantly exhausted, innovation suffers. When they're afraid of making mistakes, creativity gives way to caution. But when they feel supported, respected, and trusted, they are far more likely to contribute their best thinking. Perhaps that is one of the reasons conversations like today's Women Leadership Programs are so important. For many years, qualities such as empathy, collaboration, active listening, and relationship building were often described as soft skills. Today, organizations are beginning to recognize them for what they truly are: strategic leadership capabilities. They are not qualities that belong exclusively to women. They are qualities that every leader, regardless of gender or industry, should intentionally develop, because they enable stronger teams, better decision, and more resilient organization. So what does this mean for each of us? The answer to that question may not always make the decision easier. Leadership often requires difficult choices, but it almost always leads to better choices because they are informed not only by data and analysis, but also by understanding. As the global energy landscape continues to evolve, we will continue to see new technologies, new business models, and new ways of working. Those changes are inevitable, but one thing remains constant. Leadership will always be about people, because when people thrive, organizations thrive. And when organizations thrive, industries, communities, and nations are all stronger for it. So today, as I leave you, the leaders who will make the greatest impact will not simply be those with the strongest technical expertise. They will be those who can build trust, bring people together across different perspectives, and create environments where individuals and organizations can thrive. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much, our keynote speaker, Country Manager MasterCard in West Africa, Folashade Femi Lawal. Can we please give her another round of applause? In God we trust, others should bring data. I thought I was the only one that heard that. Well, that's profound. Very profound. I love it. I love it. Oh, show me what you can. God can do it all, but you show me. Thank you so much, Walashade. Please give her another applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, before I proceed, let me say a big thank you to our sponsors today, Seplat, Platform, and AA Holdings. Can you please give them a round of applause? We're going to listen to them soon, but make the applause better now. These are our sponsors. As Stephen Onu Yo would say, they are our sponsors. Thank you for being our sponsors for WLP this year. Onwards to the panel of the WLP we go now. And I would begin by inviting our first panelist on the podium, who is a petroleum engineer, energy executive, entrepreneur, and a UN Global Ambassador, GEPS, with over 16 years of experience in the upstream oil and gas industry. She founded a female-owned, female-led indigenous energy services company delivering integrated upstream oil field and turnkey project solutions across Nigeria and Africa. She's widely recognized for her contributions to indigenous capacity development, energy sector leadership, and workforce development across Africa's energy value chain. With a strong technical foundation gained from Baker Hughes in Nigeria and the United States, she has built a reputation for technical excellence, strategic leadership, and operational execution. Under her leadership, her company has grown into a performance-driven energy company providing services across well construction, well evaluation, completions, interventions, production enhancement, rig services, marine logistics, and integrated project execution. Please welcome the CEO and MD of Sefa Energies Limited, Sandra Ekwe Agoa. You're welcome. Onwards to our next. Our next panelist, yes, it shows you've been attending since yesterday. Thank you very much. Our next panelist has spent more than 2 decades making decisions where engineering, capital, leadership, and human judgment converge. An engineer by training and an institution builder by practice, she works at the intersection of energy, finance, governance, and human potential, guided by a question that has shaped her life's work. What determines whether leaders, institutions, and financial systems endure? Throughout her career, she has led complex strategic, commercial, and technical initiatives across Africa's energy sector, advising boards, investors, governments, and business leaders on investment strategy, corporate governance, enterprise transformation, and long-term value creation. She has spent much of that time in rooms where a single decision can move billions, earning a reputation for combining engineering discipline, commercial judgment, and the patience to notice what a balance sheet cannot. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the founder and chief executive officer of ENADEFI, I hope I got that, where she's pioneering trust infrastructure for energy finance and principal strategies at Calitis. Please welcome Chinyere Chik Obi. Joining them on the panel, to her immediate left, yes. Okay, just give me a quick second. Technology acts up sometimes, and then you hit the reset button. Okay, joining them on the panel is a seasoned professional with over 30 years of multidisciplinary experience spanning both the public and private sectors. She currently serves as the managing partner at TISO Consulting Limited, a consulting firm that delivers strategic advisory services in ESG, that is environmental, social, and governance, of course, consulting and risk management, transformation initiatives, long-term planning, government relations, investment facilitation, policy analysis, community management, carbon offset project development, reforestation, and nature-based solutions and value creation. Through its integrated community management practice, the company helps organizations build and sustain their social license to operate by delivering strategic community relations. I could go on and on. Please welcome Sarah Ajose Adiogun. There are names you hear and you turn to look. Am I hearing well? Yes, you are hearing well. Sarah Adiogun, Ajose Adiogun, you are welcome. Thank you for joining us. Next is a finance and governance leader with over 2 decades of experience leading finance, investment, and organizational transformation initiatives across the public and private sectors with expertise in banking, treasury, corporate strategy, and finance and public policy. She currently serves as a head of investment management at the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, where she leads investment strategy and capital mobilization to accelerate gas infrastructure development and support Nigeria's energy transition. Now, prior to this, she was a technical advisor, finance and investment to the NMDPR CEO, working on large-scale public finance and government reforms and supporting organizational structure during the PIA 2021. Please welcome Mrs. Adora Ndukwe Ugu, FCA, FCCA. Again, remember, as I said, these are just brief bios of those brilliant women. It is not, I can capture everything they have done in the short time that I have here to introduce them. Okay. Want to be sure I'm on course, and sure I am. Onwards to our next and final panelist before our moderator is a seasoned business leader and strategic supply chain professional with over 2 decades of experience across the oil and gas, energy, and logistics sector, currently serving as senior manager supply chain management at, forgive me, this computer thing is interesting. Please, I take that again. Okay. He's a seasoned business leader and strategic supply chain professional with over 2 decades of experience across the oil and gas, energy, and logistics sector, currently serving as senior manager supply chain management at ND Western. She has successfully driven operational excellence, business growth, and workplace transformation by fostering inclusive leadership and cross-functional collaboration. Please welcome Adebola Asemota. Am I missing someone in the middle? Okay. I hope I have everybody I need to have on this panel, Prof. Except my moderator. If I'm missing somebody, let me know because I'm dealing with the list I have here. I'm good. Okay, because I'm seeing an empty chair behind me and is kind of putting me off. I'm wired like that, forgive me. I'm wired like that. Okay, so to moderate our panel for us is the head of Assets and Facilities Management at the Lagos Regional Office of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, where she oversees infrastructure governance, operational performance, and workplace systems that support regulatory excellence. Now, throughout her career, she has led major digital transformation initiatives, strengthening operational resilience and built systems that organizations to perform sustainably in complex environment. Please welcome Ife Okafor.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Um, my dear ladies, are we ready? Before we start, I want to say a big thank you to the SPE Council for putting another excellent women's leadership program. I want to say thank you to the WLP Organizing Committee, especially our host, Engineer Francis Muche, our WLP Chair, Professor Kafaya Atadeyemi, and my 5 powerful and esteemed panelists who are here today. Thank you for honoring the call, and we know we're going to have an insightful conversation. So, today's topic, elevating leadership through empathy, well-being, and human-centered relationships. This year's conference theme is Thriving in Evolving Global Energy Landscape, Collaborative Growth and Resilience. Now, we know that leadership in this industry does not happen in a vacuum. It's fast-paced, the pressure is constant, and decisions carry real weight for not just people, also the balance sheets, right? During the panel session today, we are focusing on an aspect of leadership that's easy to skip past: empathy, well-being, human-centered decision-making. The goal is not to romanticize all this as soft add-ons. It's to show that with real examples from these ladies here, how empathy and performance actually work hand in hand and what it looks like in practice. So, my dear panelists, are we ready? Okay, so I'm going to ask a series of questions. The first set of questions is going to go to everyone, and I think I'll start from Sandra all the way to Bola, right? Now, this question is, what's a leadership decision you got right specifically because you paused to consider how people would experience it and not just execute it? So basically, a decision you had to take more because of the people than the execution of it.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the question. So for me, I think that would be a time when the January this year, when the new tax law came into play. So the employees, they want the tax to hit their net pay, the money they take home. So we had several meetings. In short, we paid salary in January, and there was a bit of some small talk here and there. Immediately, I had to call a town hall meeting, and I allowed them to speak up, and I wanted to hear what they had to say, not knowing that some of them had already gone to some other companies to go and get their pay slip to find out how they did it. So I believe different companies had different approach, to the tax law. But after several meetings, I also had my own consultation with other HRO firm to see what other people were doing. And during the town hall meeting, we spoke, and I discovered that at the end of the day, they all had different opinions. But it all boiled down to one thing. They all didn't want their pay to be short, right? It does not matter if the government wanted to take some of their tax laws. I remember we're in the field where engineers go to the field and they get job bonuses. We are in an environment where the sales team gets commission for bringing in revenues. So the government tightened everywhere to the point that all your sales, commission, whatever it is, there's nothing you can hide. Yes. You must pay your tax. So what we decided to do was, okay, as I put myself in your shoes. I was once an engineer, worked with Baker for 10 years, and I said, okay, what are you willing to forfeit? Are you going to forfeit your leave allowance or 13th month, or what are you going to? So if, we took a vote, and some, came over this way and all that. By the end of the day, we came to a conclusion, and that conclusion was, as a leader, that empathetic nature came up, that motherhood came up, and I needed to bring out the money from my revenue to make it up just to, help them. And, at the end of the day, the employees are the kingmakers. They are the ones that make things happen. Yeah. And I needed them to not start this year on the wrong foot or start this year grumbling. I don't want to be passing through the office and I'm hearing people grumbling. So we had to take in more and increase their gross, which put their net pay at the same pay as last year. So I think that was the key decision for me. Thank you.
Wow, that's quite an empathetic decision because it affects your bottom line. It means that you need to make adjustments with your budget, with the way you run operations, but you put the people first. And all things being equal, it will be rewarding at the end of the year.
So if you go to my booth, you can see them. Yesterday, they were here till 10. They all came here to take our word that, in short, this Naice conference, they gave their best. 17 of them are here, and are doing amazing.
Hey, well done. All right, we move to the chick. You've experienced this in government and now in private. What's it like? Empathy in leadership?
It was in 2021 for me, and we're just coming out of COVID, and I moved to a new subsidiary. It then dawned on me that I'm moving to manage a new team that basically doesn't understand me because the team has heard, oh, there's one Chinyere that is coming. And I know what that meant because the team I had in my former workplace, they were a super team, I must say, like super team. Like we worked like the speed of the jets, yeah? But then I had a new team, new work environment, people with different kind of experience. I wanted to move fast. I've always wanted to move fast. But then I'm seeing people that do not understand what I'm talking about. When I say we need data, they say, what are you going to do with it? If I said, can we look at the model? They will tell me, but we don't need it. Let's just hear the IOCs out and then we can take a decision, yeah? To change myself, basically, because I tell myself, I said, okay, here is me that I really have to change because I have to wear another version of me that could take less as a performance. It wasn't easy because then it's like, oh, but we can get this done quickly and get it done, with the speed of light. Why should these IOCs be taking us for a ride? Apologies to the IOCs that are here. But I saw people that are already fragile. Fragile coming out of isolation from COVID, fragile coming out from the psychological burden of not knowing what tomorrow holds. And most importantly, their finances were impacted because all through COVID, nobody went anywhere. And we know some of the incentives that come with moving around, traveling, and all the rest of it. We basically had to make some adjustment. Like I said, I started from me. So instead of asking them to deliver more like the way I used to do, I then call them to say, okay, what can you deliver? What do you know? And how do I support you in getting it done? We saw ourselves because I told them, okay, maybe we may need to also cut ourselves some slacks, extend our work hour, because work starts at 9 and closes at 3 as of that time. I said, okay, we may not just need to extend it beyond 3, probably close around 5, so that we can have some time to talk about some of the visions and my expectations and my aspirations, yeah? And then I also meet you at where you are based on the way you've been working. And then we should be able to strike a balance. But the most important thing is, I looked at them, these are people's children, people's brothers, sisters, husband, wives, and I asked myself, do you want to push someone off the cliff? And the answer for me was a big no. So deep inside of me, I said, time has come when you have to take less, and less is good enough. And I tell you, with that, we're able to achieve as much, maybe not as much as I would have loved to, but we made an impact. Thank you very much.
Sometimes we need to take a step back just so that our people can grow with us.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you very much. When you asked the question, I was going to talk about our remuneration and all of what we did this year for our staff. And then she began talking about that, and I said, I'll just talk about one story. In 2025, we had a staff that had some serious medical issues. And when I got to find out what she was going through, I decided that we would bear the cost outside of our normal HMO assignment for all our staff to make sure she got well. And that involved us taking a decision to do quite a lot more, actually flying her abroad to have her surgeries and all of that. And I really did not know the impact that that singular decision had on every other person on the team until we had to make some sacrifices, late last year as an organization. And one of my staff actually said, when a company stands up for one staff, we know that when we are in trouble, the company will stand up for us. And they collectively made a decision to support the organization. So that just tells you the power of decision as a leader, and that everyone else is watching you every day. So the decisions you take, whether for one staff, whether for everybody, has an impact on your outcomes, has an impact on your leadership, and has an impact on your business. Thank you.
I love it. When a company stands for one staff, you know it will stand for all staff. That's words in gold, words in marble. Adora?
Absolutely. Thank you for that point. And I think it's very important because really, maybe empathy is not our biggest leadership challenge. Maybe courage is. The courage to stand up for your people, right? I had a team member, and I think empathy in high-performing teams is very important. Because when you lose knowledge workers, right, things really start to go downhill from there. So I'm the head of investment management, as I was introduced, and in our work, we have to make critical decisions on projects around gas infrastructure, critical investment decisions. And I have a team member that does a lot of the reviews along with me, supervising, and looking at financial models and, critiquing assumptions in models, because models always look good, right? But I noticed that he began to under-deliver and not show up and sort of mentally started checking out. And there are so many examples, but this one comes to mind immediately because he's a key member of staff. And we have these investment review meetings where we're tearing apart projects and sifting the wheat from the chaff before you go to the next level of review. And he was disconnected. And it doesn't happen immediately. You notice it over time. His performance began to go down. So we had, and as a leader, I think Chick had mentioned, as a leader, sometimes some of us are type A. We go really hard, thinking that maybe everybody comes from the same conditioning that you have come from. We are conditioned differently. So I took a step back and I paused and I'm like, what's going on with this guy? I thought he was type A. But after sort of digging really deep, I then found out that there were things happening at home, because usually we look at the women and we're like, women always have something going on at home. Men do too, a lot. And I realized that sort of impacted the way he delivered. And I couldn't have him making mistakes when we're looking at money. So I think what I did is I took a step back, reevaluated expectations, right? And rescheduled timelines and the way I wanted him to deliver. And it didn't have to be sitting down in the office from morning till night. It could be being with his family, right? And working from there if he could. So I think sometimes we need to sort of take a step back ourselves, and really think about, empathy is no longer a soft skill. I think our speaker said that. It's no longer it's a strategic skill that leaders need to have. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. Sometimes we need to really take a step back, right? To be able to see the bigger picture and ask ourselves, what exactly do we want to achieve here? Are we going for the results on paper, or are we looking at the big picture of persons and paper achievements? Yeah. Bola?
Thank you very much. So coming from a supply chain perspective, the objectives of most of us in supply chain, or all of us in supply chain, on a regular basis is to deliver the right service, the right goods, at the right price, on time. We never really talk about people, as if people are not the ones who are doing it. And one thing I've started learning, or I've learned and started sharing with my team, is that our roles, our responsibility goes beyond that. It is very important that we we include in that mandate the stakeholders who participate in what we are trying to achieve. And for me, the partnership that we have with our suppliers, our contractors and vendors is extremely important. So yes, empathy for team members, human-centered decision-making is very important with your team that you work with on a daily basis, but I've started looking at it outside of my team, also for my contractors and my service providers, because I've now seen that when we make decisions with that in mind, I get better service from them. Better service ultimately leads to cost optimization for the business. I'll give you a very quick incident. When I joined the company, I inherited a contract to supply a rig for drilling for our asset. And I remember, after working a few weeks, few months, I started hearing grumblings about this contract. And I really didn't understand what the grumbling was about, really. And I said, I went with my team. I said, let's go to the rig site. I am not an engineer. I'm a finance major, accounting major that works in supply chain. I said, let's go to the rig site. Let's go and see what's happening. And we went, and we visited the rig, and we had an opportunity to actually see, one, the working conditions, the atmosphere that our team members work under. I think it was Engineer Francis that said it, that he was a drilling engineer and he was sleeping on the floor. Okay, so they're not sleeping on the floor, they're sleeping in caravans. And it was amazing to me, the conditions that a lot of them have to work under. And so I went back and I started saying, how can we improve on this? What can we do better? We're asking professionals who are working under very adverse operational conditions. Safety is paramount. They have to be able to deliver. They're working long hours. How do we make that environment better for them so that they can deliver better? And it became a key requirement in the new contract that we're now putting in place for an additional land rig, that the accommodation, the service for the team must be first class. So it's not just about delivering a rig that can drill or, X amount of depth or whatever. That's important. But we need to be able to understand that the people who are working in those conditions, whether they're directly our staff or contract staff or the like, must be in an environment that is conducive. So, I'm happy that that's something that we are now looking at. And not just for the rig contract, for a lot of, like I said, for all our contracts now. What are the stakeholders bringing to the table, and what do they need? What do they need to achieve as well? If you frustrate your contractors or your suppliers to the point where you don't consider them, you're not going to get the best from them. And ultimately, that's expensive. Thank you.
Exactly. It's expensive when you don't take care of your people. The thing is that most of us don't realize how expensive it is because the data isn't there. The good news is that I do know that the data is being collated as we speak. Yes,
I happen to sit on a board that is working on that data. Hopefully it will be released at the end of the year, where we can see the impact of human energy sustainability on organizations and what it costs you in naira, kobo, cents, dollars. And then perhaps maybe that would help to trigger, some of that action that we need. So we've heard from you ladies, from you leaders, why empathy matters at the top, right? We've heard the stories. We've seen that sometimes adjusting what we want out can, give us a more holistic result that is better for the organization. Now we need to get to the part where we talk about what actually gets in the way of practicing this. We want to, sometimes we want to, but most times something is actually getting in the way of practicing this in our day-to-day, in the fields, in the organizations, in the boardrooms. So as we move into this part of the conversation, I'm going to ask a few of you specific questions, but I'm still also going to ask all of you. I implore that we keep to the time so that we enjoy a wealth of rich perspectives and experiences without, exceeding our time limit. So this next phase is more of well-being, burnout, EQ. So to Adebola, let me take it to Sarah, give you a moment to catch your breath. Sarah, from the outside, right, looking across multiple organizations. Yes.
Sarah or Sandra?
Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah. Yes, not Sandra. From the outside, you're a CEO, you own your own company, you're in ESG, so you get to see a lot. Now, looking across multiple organizations, what's one well-being practice that kind of looks good when they do all their presentations, right? But really, does it work? Is it really something that you can practice as an organizational standard, or something that you will just recommend people take as a lifestyle advice?
Thank you very much, Ifi. Well-being is key.
Yes.
Because it was just Maxwell that said that your employees will not give you their hands if you do not give them your heart. So they need to know that you care. And caring goes beyond deliverables. It goes into a work-life balance, like we used to say when we were in Shell. So what I've seen work in organizations is that this whole discussion about empathy, this whole discussion about well-being, about human-centered decision-making must go beyond policy, must go beyond procedures, and must become entrenched in leadership behavior. That is where the difference happens. Most times when it doesn't work, you find out that there is pressure to deliver. And when that pressure to deliver is not balanced with the well-being of the people, you'll find out that yes, in the short term, you might do well, but in the long term, the impact on the organization is more negative than positive. Thank you.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so my next question goes to Adora. Adora, this one is gonna bite a bit, but I'm sure you can handle it. So, does emotional intelligence, right, does it show up anywhere in allocating capital or in how teams get allocated? Or is that still seen like a soft conversation in the finance and investment world?
I wish we could, and thank you for that question. I think it hits home for me. As I said earlier, you're taking financial decisions, using government money and funding projects, billions of naira, right? I think that emotional intelligence is critical because I always tell my team and the people around me, we don't invest in projects, we invest in people.
Yes, we do.
If you are putting $20 million in a company, right? And I think the speaker from the panel in the morning alluded to this, right? You need to understand beyond the numbers, right? And beyond the assumptions that people recreate in these finance models and investment, because everybody wants to sell their company. So everything looks good in an Excel spreadsheet on paper. But then you need to understand who you're investing in. And that has saved us quite a few times in my work. You have to understand the stewardship of the people that you are giving the country's money, right? And we know that the outcome is, oh, we want Nigeria to be at, close the infrastructure gap of $20 trillion, and we can call all these numbers. But honestly, I think that emotional intelligence, human-centered decision-making is critical in investment decisions like this. Without it, you can invest in the wrong person, right? And years down the line, after FID has been taken, you are struggling with someone with bad habits or a legal case or someone who does not have the strength or the energy to power through very difficult times in their business alongside. And remember, the MDJF takes equity, right? That's high risk. It's the highest risk in the capital stack, right? So you're not really, you really do need to be careful when making these decisions. And I think that a lot of insight around who you're making that investment in on behalf of the federal government is critical. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, whenever we're making these investments, it's not just to look at what we're trying to achieve by way of the project or the investment, but those things that we're trying to achieve, who are they impacting? Because you see, when we understand who they're impacting, then we understand how to really invest. Are the decisions we're taking going to give the right reward or the right impact that we are thinking of? Or are we just trying to, tick checklists? Yep. Okay, Bola, I'm coming back to you. Now, the oil and gas industry, right? It runs on shift work, remote postings, pressure to deliver. And what does burnout look like in this industry before it becomes a resignation letter? Because I'll tell you, yes, many people might not actually write the resignation because they need the paycheck. But how do we recognize what that looks like before it gets to that stage where people have to damn the consequences and resign?
So, as you know, we work in a very, very safety critical industry. It's so key that we do everything possible to ensure that our employees, their well-being, our team members, their well-being we're sensitive to it so that we don't get to that point of burnout. At that point, it's too late, because by the time the team member is showing signs of burnout, it's because you're seeing it in errors. You're seeing it in lack of enthusiasm for work, not delivering, not communicating, not engaging, even in meetings and the like. In our industry, in my opinion, that's too late. So it's very important that as leaders, our eyes are open, our ears are open, because I'm constantly telling myself that it's not just what I see, it's what I hear, it's what I feel with my team members. And it's very important that all those senses are active all the time. I like to share because I'm learning from it. My COO at OMA 34 does what he calls his ward round every day. He walks around the entire office building checking on everybody. And it's not a check because he's marking the register to see who's at work. You're not there, you're not there. He's literally checking to make sure everybody is okay. Are you okay? Why is this person not here? And oftentimes he's coming to my office to say, Madam B, I didn't see so-and-so. And then I have to explain, oh, he's out or he's doing something. And I've learned from that as the COO, it starts from the top.
It does.
And leadership, the culture of putting our people first and being authentic about it starts from the top. The question that you asked her, I wish you had asked me, because immediately I was going to say, if it's not about what you say, it's about what you do.
Yes.
And if the top is saying it but not doing it, then yeah. I never like to put my CEO on the spot, but he's here, so I'll put him on the spot. He's here, supporting us, okay? Not just me, really, but us. And that's leadership. That's showing he's taken time off his schedule. His EA kept calling, what time are you on? What time are you on? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock, and he showed up right on time. So it's not that he doesn't have anything else to do. So it's very important that we show from the top that we mean what we say and we say what we mean. And that's really the only way you can actually see the signs and then act before it happens.
Yeah, I like that. Basically, you need to know your people well enough to know when things start to go wrong, if I hear you. Did you want to say something?
Yes.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes, please, I can tell. I can tell.
I think there's a missing link on this panel, is that there is no man on this panel.
Yes.
It is a missing link because empathy and human-centered decision-making is not gendered.
Yes.
It is a leadership issue. So why was this panel not in yesterday's meeting, where the room was full? So I'm going to push back to the organizers because it's critical. It's always empathy and HR and all. It's always gendered. You just move it to an all-female. And the panel before that had only one woman on it. Okay, so just
have mixed and
I'm
matched,
just looking for
right?
trouble.
Well, I will tell you that I have insights as to how this panel came about. We did actually try to get some men, but they were not available. Well, I plead the fifth on that, but we did ask, and calendars were just not syncing. I hear you. We will try to do better to make sure we push harder to get a more balanced panel, because it's very important. Even the optics need to show that this matters to everyone, not just one side, one gender, one group. So, point taken. We'll do better. Yes. Okay, so this one is to everyone. It's going to bite a bit. Audience, get ready. You're going to enjoy this one. I will start from you, Sandra. Has anyone, so any of you, had to unlearn a leadership habit that was rewarded earlier? I can hear, So, have you had to unlearn any leadership habit that was rewarded earlier in your career but is no longer serving your team?
So, yes. For me, I lead like a mother. I have the strict hand and the loving part of me. So I discovered that during my birthday, my 40th birthday, my team members, the workers, right, they put me down and they threw a dinner for me, surprise dinner. Yeah. And in the dinner, they were making a comment. The MD once said, you know. So it was funny. It was a game. It was funny, but I was listening to all they were saying. And that the MD once said, you know, they were trying to characterize all my bad, all the things, you know, that were good but not so good. And I filtered them out, you know, took the very, you know, the necessary ones, and, you know, took the ones that were not so comfortable. And I told myself, you know, this is my 40th, and I'm going to make intentional plans to stop those things that that the MD once said, right? Yeah. So 6 months down the line, you know, they came around and said, Madam, it looks like you've changed. You know, so that was me trying to listen why it was a playful environment. I took their critique, you know, lovingly. I took some of the things they said, and I unlearned them, and I'm still in the process of unlearning them, and I believe that's what every leader should do. Thank you.
Please, can we give her a very big round of applause for, first of all, rolling with the punches, taking good criticism and working on it. Quite a number of bosses wouldn't take that kindly. They will find, if not direct approaches, roundabout approaches to penalize those staff for daring to call them out at such an occasion. But she rolled with the punches. And not only did she do that, she took those critiques and she worked on them so much so that a mere 6 months later, her team noticed. Please, can we give her a round of applause, please? Thank you. Jake?
It's been quite a journey for me personally because I've always been a perfectionist. Like, I don't like to see anyone in the room pick hole in what I'm presenting. That's always been me. Yeah? And so for me, it's more like, again, about me, you know, transforming, asking myself, you've got to the point where you're not the one doing, but you're guiding the people that are doing. Are the skill sets that helped you to do and be recognized still what you need as you go guiding people that then do? It was a big shift, I must say, because for the first time I see myself saying, please leave the pancakes, don't do the pancakes, we just need the flour, exactly. Let's just get the meat of the whole matter. You don't need to make it perfect, yeah? So I got to the point where, because I'm not the one doing, we have to balance between the exceptional quality, the 99% or 99.9%, and what a 90% can also do. Are they material? So all those extras that you always ask for, are they material? And if they're not material, maybe it's time to let them go. Yeah? And I tell you, with that, we could do more with the same time that we have and still achieve the same results. Because at the end of the day, I come to realize that, yeah, it's all beautiful. I can sit in front of my computer and admire all the beautiful work, but how does it add value to the business, to the people? And most importantly, like I mentioned earlier, is it worth pushing people off the cliff? Yeah. And if it's not, then let it go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think, very difficult question, but yes. I have had to unlearn quite a number of things. I'm a perfectionist, I'm a hard worker, and I can keep going. I just want to get things done. But as a leader, I had to realize that when you start writing an email to your people at 2 a.m., you are actually the problem. You know, so it's not that you want to put them under pressure, but inadvertently, you are putting them under pressure. Because I realized that, you know, before I got to understand myself and, you know, tell myself that as a leader, there are things you don't do. I can work until 2, 3 a.m. when I have something to deliver. And it doesn't affect me. But I realized that I was pushing my people to burnout point. So what did I do? I did not unlearn working in a way that's comfortable for me, but I had to learn how to hold back so that I don't put people under undue pressure. So rather than send that email at 2 a.m., I schedule it to go out at 8 a.m., or I schedule it to go out at 9 a.m. So yes, I'm still doing the work, but that is my choice. I don't need to put someone else's father, mother, daughter, son, brother, sister under a pressure that is unhealthy and that it does not serve a work-life balance, because that is what leadership is all about. And leadership is about modeling the cultures that we want to see in our organization. So I had to learn to do that. Thank you.
A table has been shaken. I hope some of our leaders have learned that there's something like scheduled mail or the text message for that matter.
I agree. I'm the 2 a.m. emailer. Because I think, again, it's about conditioning, yeah, right? It even starts from the home. That's how I was conditioned by my father, who thought I was the best thing since sliced bread and I can be president of Nigeria. And him, you know, when there's a way how you are conditioned from birth, yeah, that affects the way you even show up in the office, right? And I'm the first child, first daughter. There's also an issue with this first girl syndrome. Okay? I don't know, ladies in the room.
Yes, we are here, we hear you.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
Right? Because you are the solution to everybody's problem. Yes. Your parents, yes. Your siblings. Yes. I brought all that to the office.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, I mean, there's supposed to be an honest conversation as the thing sent to us. And I think that I also had to learn how to step back because I was rewarded for this extra hard work. Yes. In a way you can't even imagine. By my office, by my peers, by my colleagues. Mrs. A, you are our, superstar.
Solution provider.
Yes, then I got burnt out. Yes, I'm a high performer. And then I got burnt out and I started to learn about, and I used to pride myself in the fact that if I give you work to do, I can do it better and 10 times faster, right? So the learning for me is understanding how to step back and then how to delegate. I'm still working on it. And, and how to delegate. But I think it's a leadership skill. I think that, even for myself, I don't think I can go much further. Even in my home, I have a house manager. We talked about it. Not a house help, a house manager. A degree holder that can actually solve my real problems in the house. And I think, again, it starts from the home. Because you can't make an assumption that employees get to the office and leave everything at the door. They don't. They carry it in with them. So if you have not worked on yourself, because leadership is really internal work. Okay, if you haven't worked on yourself and understood where your gaps are, how can you help somebody else, right? So I've really just focused. I'm getting better.
Don't worry, we're in the same boat. See, please, I want to do public service announcement for the parents in the room. All your first children. It used to be a first daughter thing, but even the first sons now are feeling the heat. Take it easy on us. Because we come into the world already inbuilt with the issue of we have to set the pace. It's already in our DNAs. And then when you begin to use us as examples and all of that, like she said, you carry it to the workplace. I carried it to the workplace. I burnt out, and I had to readdress the things that mattered to me. The story is similar. And now I've realized that there's a reason why A is 80%, not 100. So whenever I can get away with 80%, I will get away with 80% and channel the remaining 19, 20% to other things that also matter. So these conversations are not just theory. We are hoping that as you listen, you are taking notes of things that we want to really look at down the line. Bola.
So the good news is we can all unlearn and learn new behaviors. It's like looking in the mirror, listening to the ladies. I was slightly worse. My children who are older taught me a term that's what I do. I gaslight. So I would send a message or an email and say, you don't have to respond to this. However, what's your team member going to do? They're going to respond. That was my scheduling. And then I had to learn, and my daughter said to me, Mommy, you're gaslighting. Because I would send it to her and say, oh, you don't have to do it now, but when you get a chance, could you? And she said, well, why are you sending it to me at 2 a.m.? Okay. So I had to learn that and realize, like all the panelists have said, that yes, you're right, leadership first starts with you. You have to look inwards and see what are the areas that you need to work on. I really had to work on that. I enjoy work. I enjoy working. I enjoy the process of work. And I really do enjoy my job. See you.
Please give her a raise when she gets back.
So for me, it's naturally difficult to shut down. If something needs to be done, I'll do it. I'll respond. I'll answer. But it's unfair and it's not healthy behavior. And that's something I had to teach myself and learn that sometimes you just shut it down and move on. And also for our team members, like I said, what's your team member going to do if you reach out to them on Saturday evening at 7 p.m.? They're going to respond. They're going to respond. And if they don't respond, you are thinking, why are you not responding to me? So it's a lesson that I'm a work in progress, but I'm better than
where you kept.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And just to add to something you said, even when the team member doesn't respond, what we've done is we've transferred the emotional burden of that task to that team member, because they're going to see it and they're going to have to take a decision of, do I act, don't I act, and force themselves to be okay with not acting, you see. So it's soft in nature, but it packs a punch. And that's the reason we asked this particular question. You can see that 5 leaders across different industries have things that they've had to unlearn, you know, to be better leaders in these times. And this hopefully would inspire and encourage us all here to remember that we have things that we have to unlearn to be able to thrive better, lead better, and achieve more on the bigger scale of things. Now, I want to just do the rapid fire questions because we don't have any more time. So this is one more question, 1 sentence to respond. In 1 sentence, tell us, if you could change one leadership norm in this industry starting tomorrow, what would it be? Rapid, rapid, rapid.
So me being a leader, I've discovered that a lot of the times, especially for contractors and vendors like us, we put so much targets on the sales team and everybody needs to deliver. But a lot of the time,
1 minute.
yeah, they forget that there is a seed time and there is a sowing time. So you plant and you sow. So I would implore all leaders here to know that, you know, give your sales team a breathing space and let them understand that, you know, maybe 1 year could be a planting time, but there are more times for sowing time. Thank you.
I'll crave your indulgence. You give me a bit more than 1 minute because no, there's something that we need to take home from here because all the time we've been talking about leadership, we're looking at it from a place of authority. But leadership is not about authority. Before that person with authority became the leader, he was first a human. So leadership is actually about how you govern yourself in relation to self, in relation to your environment, and in relation to the people and situation around you. If we see it from that perspective, then it helps not to put that performative burden on people with authority, to know that each and every one of us is accountable to what we feel, what we experience, and how we show up. Because the way we show up is also the way people respond to us. What you give to the universe is basically what you receive. So while we're going away from here, start looking at leadership from a place of self-governance, whether you're in the place of authority today or not, because it is that person without authority, the follower, that will grow to become a leader tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Very important point. Sarah?
Thank you very much. I think what we would really need to take away from here is that while we talk about organizational performance and wanting to succeed in our different organizations, people are front, back, center of performance.
Yes.
And if you are able to get your people locked in, like my daughter would say, she said, I need to lock in. If you can get them to lock in, then your organization would actually perform better because people are willing to go the extra mile for an organization that truly shows the care. And the leaders are who will make that matter. Thank you.
Okay. Adora?
Yes, I think everything we've spoken about today really centers around how we understand human context without lowering our standards. And I think that maybe what we also need to do is to begin to measure leadership impact at board meetings, the same way we look at numbers, okay? ROI, I really think that maybe if we put leadership impact on an Excel spreadsheet and we forced matrices to measure it, I think then we'll begin to force people to think more. In our oil and gas industry, we spend a lot of time training technical competencies. I don't think we spend enough time training leaders, men and women. So I think we need to reverse engineer a little bit for outcomes.
Very good.
Thank you so much. I'll just piggyback on that. I was going to say that our industry is very technical driven. The measure of success is barrels, oil. It's very physical, very numbers, million scoffs and barrels per day and all of that, and zero LTI. And it's great that we're now looking at other areas that actually add and, if anything, drive those numbers. So it's okay. It's okay for us to have this conversation. It's okay for us to continue to have this conversation. There is nothing wrong with us having what some people would think is a soft topic.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right. I want to say thank you to all my panelists. I want to say thank you to listening to us patiently, and I hope that this has inspired you and driven a lot of thought and reflection. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ife. I only have, just give me a second. I only have one small protest. He said it's an all-women panel. It's not true. I'm here. I'm part of the panel. Please, Mogachiki, can you come and present their plaques to them? Thank you very much. Please give them another round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. Where's my, who has the plaques that we're giving them? Who has the gift, rather, we're giving them? What we're giving them is gifts. Prof. Okay, if the gifts are not ready, we'll just take a picture with them and then we'll move on to the next one. All right. Dr. Chikeze Nwosusa, if you can just, let's begin from where you are. Okay, already giving it to them. Oh, Auntie, give it to Oga to give to them, please.
In actual fact, that empty seat was mine. They had invited me, but this week there were activities at Abeokuta. Yeah, so I couldn't make it. So it's not that they didn't think about it, yeah? Yeah.
So that means there were two of us on the panel.
Yes, there were two of us, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just please, let's begin with you. Thank you very much. Thank you for Adebola. Sir, please, let's centralize the picture. Just come this way. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Adebola. Thank you for the insights that you brought. Adora would give you next. Sarah will follow. Chinyere will follow Sandra, and we'll conclude with Ife. All right, Adora, please step forward. Thank you very much, Adora, for your time. We do not take it for granted. I'm sure we've all learned a lot. That's one of the things I like about WLP. It's not about, you walk away from here, whether you're a male or female, you definitely will walk away with something. So if you're a male leader who does 2 a.m. emails, you now know that 2 a.m. members of staff don't enjoy it so much. Like Adebola said, let's not gaslight. Don't send it and say, when you want to respond, respond. But you sent it at 2 a.m. and see Uncle be coming down. Thank you very much. So our sponsors are going to speak to us now, and then we'll continue to the next panel. Again, can we give our sponsors a round of applause? AA Holdings, Seplat Energy, and Platform Petroleum. Please photograph. Once you're done with Ife, photograph. Can I ask Mrs. Kike Aswelime and Mr. John Anim to join this picture, please? Kike Aswelime is the GM Business Assurance and Integrity for Seplat, and John Anim is the MD of Platform. They are our sponsors. If you want to clap for them, you clap for them. Okay. Yes, MD Western is here. You can join us, sir. Please. Mr. Kaleja, please join us. Sir, you are really here for she. The way she is fighting for anything. I love that. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You know, if I don't join this picture, it means that I was not part of the panel. That's not right. We'll said it. Let's complete it. Snap. Retake the picture again. Thank you very much. Please, one more round of applause for our panel. Thank you. Madam Kike, please don't go yet. You except you want to grab something, then you go ahead because you are speaking next as one of our sponsors for the WLP. Please, now to speak as our sponsor welcome General Manager, Business Assurance and Integrity at Seplat Energies PLC, Mrs. Kike Aswelime.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, industry leaders, colleagues, participants. First of all, I want to join everybody in saying a big thank you to the panel that just finished. I think they did a wonderful job in doing. So thank you so much. But on behalf of Seplat Energy PLC, we're delighted that we're able to sponsor the Women's Leadership Program at this Naice 2026. And we're happy that we're able to contribute to the important conversation on elevating leadership through empathy, well-being, and human-centered decision-making. If we look at the oil and gas industry, as our industry continues to evolve, which we are evolving, leadership, when you think about it, is no longer defined solely by technical competence. And I think if you listen to the last panel, they alluded to the same, right? It's not just our technical expertise that makes us leaders or just our operational excellence. However, leaders who can create lasting impact on those who can build trust, who value diverse perspectives, and make decisions that place people at the heart of performance are truly the ones that are prepared for tomorrow. This is why women's leadership and diversity really matters, and we cannot stop talking about it. Diverse leadership teams, beyond just women, brings about broader perspectives, better decision making, stronger innovation, and more sustainable outcomes. Equally, women leaders are often at the forefront in demonstrating the power of empathy, collaboration, resilience, and authenticity in navigating complex challenges and bringing out the best in others. So once again, please give it to our women leaders. At Seplat Energy, we believe that empathy strengthens leadership, well-being sustains performance, and inclusive decision-making drives better outcomes. These are not soft skills, as has been said by the panel. These are leadership essentials for both male leaders and female leaders. So I want to commend SP for providing this platform to celebrate women leaders, to celebrate knowledge sharing, and to inspire the next generation for talent. So I just leave one closing thought in my remarks. The future of our industry, it's not going to be shaped only by the energy resources, because yes, different oil companies are all looking for energy resources, but it's going to be shaped by the people we inspire, the people we support, and the people we lead. That is the leadership this industry needs and the legacy we should strive to build for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Kike Aswelime, General Manager, Business Assurance and Integrity for Seplat Energy PLC. Let's please give them another round of applause. Thank you very much. Now, to speak on behalf of Platform Petroleum and AA Holdings, please welcome the MD of Platform Petroleum, Mr. John Anim.
Thank you, and a very good afternoon to the council chairman, other executive council members here, my distinguished industry colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm so delighted to stand here to give a sponsorship remark. This session has been a very wonderful one, very educative and very informative. I want to say, before going further, that probably because the title of this is Women Leadership Program instead of Women in Leadership Program, probably that is why it's more gender bias. Leadership is not gender bias. It's leadership, both male and female. There are some other programs that they call Women in Leadership Program. Probably we might be thinking in that direction because all that we are shared here today affects both male and female in leadership. When the speakers, the panelists were speaking, they were speaking directly to me. And I know there are many CEOs in the oil and gas industry that they were also speaking to. So when you characterize as a program for women, you'll find that some male feel that it's just women affair, but today you can see that it's not women affair. In the morning, the whole of this place was almost filled, but because the male within our industry thought that it's just for female, so it's not so. So over time, it might have to rethink how to bring more male into this program. So once again, I want to thank you. We are very proud to continue to sponsor this program. Our big sister, Seplat, has joined the race. I remember about 4 years ago, I committed I will continue to sponsor this program until only God knows when. 3 years ago, I was one of the panelists, and I look forward to joining the panelists, this panel session in the future. I wish I was seated there to also contribute in my own little way. So all you have said here today is what we stand for in Platform. We don't just seek for profit in our business. Anyone that has come across Platform in his business as an employee, as a contractor, or as any other stakeholder can testify to that. Our platform is not built on just profit making. We are built to impact humanity, to impact our community, to impact everybody positively. And that is what we'll continue to do. Our contribution to the educational institution is also very, very commendable. You can see we have so many people wanting to come and undergo the internship program in our company. Despite the fact that we are small in number, we are a small company trying to grow to become the bigger ones. Because Platform, we have many sisters, we have many partners, but Platform as a company remains a flagship company, a platform for other companies to emerge. So for Platform, our full-time employees in number is less than 130. But as I stand here today, we have over 40 interns. Why are we doing so? Because we know that we have to contribute to the education of the younger ones that will take over the industry in the future. Because the company we are building is not a company that will just fizzle out in 10 or 20 years. We are just starting. So I want to implore all female engineers, geologists, scientists, even non-engineering, non-technical people that are working and aspiring to be in the oil and gas industry to keep pushing because the future is very bright. And thank you very much once again. On behalf of the management of Platform Petroleum and the board, I promise you that we'll continue to support this program. Thank you very much, and God bless all.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Anim, the Managing Director of Platform, spoke on behalf of his company. And one of those companies, our Platform, has also given birth to, small and mighty. Thank you very much. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you. Onwards, onwards, onwards to the next panel session we go right now. Yes. Can I have the volunteers do justice to what we discussed, Prof? Please. Building strong energy networks through female-driven partnerships is what we are discussing at this time. Let's begin the discourse. First off, by welcoming those who will lead the discussion. Our first discussant is a distinguished strategic leader with over 2 decades of experience driving institutional transformation, building high-level partnerships, and delivering measurable social impact across Nigeria and globally. She's widely recognized for her work advancing women's economic empowerment, inclusive governance, and private sector engagement for sustainable development. She has served on 2 Nigerian presidential committees and currently sits on over 10 boards and chairs 5 of them. Her leadership spans policy advisory, corporate governance, development strategy, and ecosystem building across public and private sectors. She's a national consultant on private sector partnerships with UN Women and is the immediate past executive director of Women in Management, Business, and Public Service, where she led high-impact programs strengthening women's leadership representation and economic inclusion. Her contributions on gender equity and national development have earned her several recognitions, including the Award of Excellence by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and the Woman of the Year Award by the Voice of Women Empowerment Foundation. Please welcome Hannatu Adegbite. Hansatu, I beg your pardon. Hansatu Adegbite, a.k.a. Hansi. You're looking very Hansi. Welcome, Hansatu. Welcome, welcome. Joining Hansatu, joining her, is a seasoned business transformation leader with 24 years of experience across financial services and technology. She specializes in guiding organizations through high-impact change, modernizing processes and systems to drive sustainable growth and translating strategy into measurable results. With a deep expertise at the intersection of technology, strategy, change leadership, and operational execution, she has led transformative initiatives that build future-ready teams, strengthen governance, and deliver resilient, co-efficient operations. She is a recognized thought leader and conference speaker on technology, organizational transformation, culture, and leadership. Please welcome Carol Ariyibi. Joining them is a multi-award winning woman-owned engineering and technology and information management company. She founded it. Since its establishment in 1991, the company has trained over 5,000 engineers and empowered over 100,000 STEM talent. She is an EI International Energy Week board member, member of the panel of judges for the Royal Academy of Engineering UK, Africa Prize for Africa Prize, as well as the EI Annual Awards. She is a co-founder of the Women in Energy Network WIEN and a council member of We Connect International Nigeria and provides engineering technology expertise and boards. She is a 2021 WE Connect Rise to the Challenge Engineering Sector awardees. Please welcome Principal Consultant of Lonadec and a STEM specialist and entrepreneur, Dr. Ibilola Amao, PhD, BSc, FIOD, FEI, FNSC, FNAG, and MCIPM. Do you know why I went that route? This woman has never been second all her life. The first time I read her bio close to 20 years ago, or more now, I was wild and blown away. So it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Please give her a round of applause. All right. Let's continue to our next discussant that brings over 25 years of extensive international energy leadership experience, having led senior roles across Nigeria, Australia, and the Netherlands. His career is defined not only by technical and commercial excellence, but by a deeply human-centered approach to leadership, one built on empathy, collaborative decision-making, and belief that people are most critical asset in any organization. His experience spans complex commercial negotiations, strategy development, asset deal structuring, and intricate stakeholder management across joint ventures and non-operated ventures. Throughout his career, he has consistently demonstrated that most enduring business outcomes are achieved when leaders invest in relationships, build trust across diverse teams, and place the well-being of people at the center of every decision. Welcome, General Manager, Commercial at Aradel Holdings and Director Aradel Gas, Mr. Olariwaju Daramola. To drive the conversation for us is a seasoned engineering professional, innovation advocate, and strategic leader with over 2 decades of diverse experience in the energy industry. She holds a chemical engineering degree from the University of Benin and is a current registered engineer and has an MBA from IE Business School, Madrid. Her career spans impactful roles at Shell, both locally and internationally, and currently at Renaissance Africa Energy Company, where she serves as Pipelines Asset Manager. In her current role, she is reshaping the pipelines narrative by championing a multi-year rejuvenation strategy aimed at delivering sufficient capacity to support 500,000 barrels of oil per day, aligned with the company's growth ambitions. Please welcome Ngozi Adeleke, Mama Lulu. So I was asking her son his name earlier. He told me, and then he told me what he prefers to be called, that this is what he prefers to be called. So you're welcome. Please take your seat and let's have the conversation. All right. So the show is yours, Ngozi. You have a mic with you? Fantastic. Please take it away.
Hello. Confirm you can hear me. Yes. Yeah. Good afternoon, our distinguished guests and industry leaders in the room. First of all, I would like to thank the council chair and the WLP chair as well, and the organizing committee for inviting me once again to this podium. So for me, it's both an honor and a privilege to be able to take this round table discussion on building strong energy networks through female-driven partnerships. So I'll quickly start, just a brief remark before we go into the meat of the matter. So the energy landscape across Africa has evolved significantly. We've seen that IOCs have basically transferred a couple of their heartlands to local independence. And these local independents are now navigating the complexities of energy transformation, digitalization, sustainability, changing regulations, and increasing stakeholder expectations. And yet, the global standards required of IOCs and our local independents has not changed, and it's still real. And so when we see all this, I want to just say something. It's a truth I think still stands the test of time, and it's that no leader, no nation, and no community can solve any of our challenges alone. The future of energy, we've heard it today, but I'm going to say it. It's not going to be built by technology, infrastructure, or capital. It's going to be built through collaborative partnerships. And I'm talking about partnerships that will connect ideas to execution, that will connect innovation to impact, and will connect communities to opportunities. Now, in today's conversation, we're going to be exploring the growing influence of female-driven partnerships in shaping that future. Across our industry, we're seeing that women demonstrate leadership. And leadership is not merely about authority. We've heard about it this afternoon. But it's about influence. It's about empathy. It's about resilience. It's about that uncommon ability to gather diverse stakeholders together and then make them come around a common shared purpose. And these are the qualities that make up a woman. So I'm saying that more than ever before, if your organization is to thrive, you need these qualities, and therefore you need women. History has shown us that the strongest networks are not necessarily those who have the greatest resources, but those with the greatest capacity and ability to collaborate. And did I already say it somewhere before that women possess this critical quality in natural abundance? It's all about women. So female leaders have repeatedly shown that we have an exceptional ability to just cultivate various collaborative ecosystems. We bring together government, industry, academia, financiers, and communities to basically solve our sector's energy challenges. And so I'm going to be having a conversation not just about gender. In fact, today's conversation cannot be about gender, but it's a conversation about leadership effectiveness. It's a conversation about network resilience. It's about strategic partnerships that are required to partner Africa's energy future. I'm so happy that the MD of AA Holdings, one of the sponsors, he made that point, that it's not about women, but it's about leadership. And so my hope is that we're going to move beyond theory, and we're going to talk about real stories. So please, my panelists, be candid. Participants, be curious. And all of us, while we are talking, let's begin to think about what is that thing we can do to basically enable partnerships driven by females to make sure that the next generation of energy leadership is assured. So I'm going to close by saying that an African proverb reminds us, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. I'm going to enrich it today by saying, if you want to go farther, you go with a woman. That's because the problems that we need to solve require us to go farther and not just far. And therefore, I'm asking that through inclusive and purpose-driven partnerships, let's be able to build an energy future that is more resilient, it's more sustainable, and it's more equitable for all. And so with that, let's begin this important conversation. Thank you. So first of all, Ohansatu, when you hear about female-driven partnerships in energy, and I recognize that for you, you're not in the energy sector, so you can please, bring outside in your other experiences, which I believe are transferable. What's one real example that comes to mind for you?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that the most important thing in partnership now, irrespective of whatever industry you are in, is innovative financing models, which means that there are 3 categories of stakeholders that are important, or let me say 4. The first is the public sector. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand about the public sector is that they have the breadth and width when it comes to any kind of partnership nationally. The second thing is that you have obviously the private sector where a lot of us play in that space, but you don't have the capacity and the technicality to spread whatever influence you have. So you now need technical partners, and in some cases, the UN Women. Because the UN Women has international as well as local experience. So they know the best practices globally. So in order to attract them, and this goes to the networking you're talking about, it is important for most of the female organizations and associations. I see that we have like WeOrg and quite a number of them here. You need to organize yourselves in such a way that you can attract the partnership that you need and you can scale up. And so it requires an organized system, but I think I'll stop here because I know my colleagues will need to add something.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Carol.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So let me first appreciate the panel that came before us because they did an excellent job. And just to build on what has been said, I see models evolving. The first model I would mention around female-led partnerships is the work that the Women in Energy Network are doing regarding an institution around mentoring and sponsorship of women in the energy space. I see that work as commendable because it has to move beyond one-on-one partnerships, right, and move into an institution that is formalized, and so many pipeline of women can enjoy that experience. I'd like to give an example, not from the energy sector, the partnership between Ibukun Awoshika, the former chairperson of First Bank, and Tad Fela Durotue. And what I see in that model is the evolution from mentorship into sponsorship into partnership. So it starts from a one-on-one conversation where you say, oh, I see somebody, and I appreciate what you're doing in the energy space, and I want to support you and power your growth. Then it now moves into another dimension where she was, that's speaking about Ibukun Awushka, for example, who was able to personally vouch to an MD of a bank to finance the business of Tara Feladuro Toye. That was a game changer for that relationship. It moved into sponsorship. And now it has now become a model where they collaborate and they create mentorship programs, you know, for a pipeline of other women to go through. So I see that that model has to evolve. You can start from mentorship, right, to become a partner, but it must evolve progressively into a pipeline that other people can benefit from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really like what you said. You know, it moves one-on-one from mentorship, then to partnership, and eventually to sponsorship, then partnership. Thank you. Lola?
Thank you very much, and thanks to the organizers of this program. For me, I think we have a lot of opportunities around women collaborating. Funny enough, the men seem to see what we don't see. And I think sometimes we need to reframe the issues and challenges that we're confronted with so that we can really appreciate the power we have as women. I would like to commend the former executive secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Simbi Wabote, who actually established the gender diversity sectoral working group of women in the energy sector. So under the Nigerian Content Consultative Forum, and this was not even in the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act, he actually set a committee up to be able to bring women groups together. So whether you are a WIMBIZ, whether you're an Association for Professional Women Engineers in Nigeria, APWEN, whether you're Commonwealth Business Women's Network, whether you're We Connect, whether you're Vital Voices, whether you're Women in Energy Network, whether you're Women in Energy, Oil and Gas, he's basically encouraged all these female groups to come together. And when you begin to look at local going national, going regional, going global, you begin to look at what must we do to derive economies of scale until we women begin to see ourselves as co-creators and collaborators to make the gender space better. We're not going to be able to achieve the lofty goals and objectives we want to. So I'd like us to begin to look at how do we pull resources together, not just from individuals and businesses, but the holistic picture of what women groups in Nigeria can do together to make gender diversity more successful in the oil and gas industry. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Ibilola. Thank you. So women, we need to first of all begin to look at ourselves as these partnerships, and then that is what will help us move forward. Thank you. Daramola, please.
Okay, first and foremost, I'll say I'm so delighted to be here this afternoon. I think I feel intimidated being the only man here. I wasn't here in the morning session. I came specifically because of this session, because I believe the session really matters. I believe it does. It does. And when we talk about partnerships, female-driven partnerships, I want to start from the phrase that says charity begins from home. So before we start thinking of the lofty partnerships, the question is, what have we done in our various homes? And when I say home, in this context, I'm talking of Aradel. Aradel was formed 1992. Up till 2004 or thereabout, there was nothing, there was no forum for women at all. Around 2006, they had what we called the Women's Consultative Forum, which was optional. It was neither here nor there. But as part of our transformation journey, we recognize the fact that, like you said, as a company, you can't go far if you do not harness the innate potential of the women folk. And through that was birthed what we call the Aradel's Women's Network, which I'm very, very proud to represent in this panel. So I'm representing the Aradel Women's Network. And what have they done? Just like she's mentioned, you see, I belong to many, many societies, I belong to many boards, but one thing I notice about women is that when women decide to do something, they do it excellently well. They do it excellently well. You can count on that. And the Aradel Women's Network was formed in 2024. They put together a constitution, and they started with very simple things to address what is needed to empower the Aradel women folk. One of the things they did was to address skills and competence. You see, for us in Aradel, the D of Aradel, of our core value, stands for diversity. But we tell ourselves that on the basis of diversity, we are going to attract the best talents, irrespective of gender. But guess what? We are actively looking for the women folk because we believe there's something special about women. So it was about addressing competence, reality, like I think someone in the last panel said, people come to work and it's not that they switch their minds. The baggage from home comes, and it's not just for women, it's also for men. So let me tell you something I do in my team, and this is practical. For my team, every morning, we do a check-in. Wherever you are on the face of the globe, you check in, and number one, you say where you are. Because my team, being commercial, we're all over the place. So we want to know where you are. Number two, how are you feeling? It's on a scale of 1 to 5. Guess what? There are some people, their standard scale is 3, and I know it. So if it shifts from 3 to 2, I make a call. Say, hey, what's going on here? What's happened? Who can guess what my own scale is? 3. Okay, mine is 4. And one day, I put it at a 3, and I was waiting to watch whether anybody will check. And one lady came to me and said, sir, you have a 3 today. What's the matter? So to me, it's about caring, some people, and truly having those conversations. The last one is incident, whether there has been an incident, either at home or at work. And guess what? There are sometimes people say, look, I've had an issue, something bad happened, and I need help. So for me, it's about the Aradel Women's Network. It's also, one last thing I'll just mention we've done is, you see, as leaders, we set up policies. We believe we have a normal stakeholder consultation for our GM HR is a woman, no doubt about that. But what we do as leadership, in addition, as part of our partnership with our women folk, is that for every new policy we come up with, there's a check-in with the Aradel Women's Network for them to give their views, suggest ideas as to what needs to happen. So I think I'll stop there. I'm here to tell the story of Aradel Women's Network and my own personal involvement in that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olariwaju. Really, really good. So the next question, and this will be to Ibilola and Olariwaju. But I'll start with Ibilola so that you can catch your breath. So now we're trying to say, and I'm happy that, already we're beginning to hear the stories. So we're moving from theory to stories. And the question, and maybe I'll tell everybody, every question has female-driven partnerships. So please don't be bored. So just wait. How do female-driven partnerships navigate trust and risk differently, especially in this sector that is really male-dominated in the energy value chain?
Thank you so much. Okay, so trust for me is basically being consistent in your core values. It's very important that every individual has core values and principles. So if you are consistent in your core values and your principles, people would recognize you and appreciate you for who you are and what you do. So deviation from that is where the trust is breached. And the inability to be consistent in specific and core values is what leads to mistrust. Because the way the oil and gas industry is a multi-billion-dollar, zero tolerance for error industry. So to build relationships, build capacity, and build economies of scale, achieve economies of scale, trust is critical. Because without trust, people are not going to work with you. So I would say, for $1 million, I wouldn't work with certain people. And for $1 million, my organization would not partner with some companies. So basically, you need to understand your DNA. You need to know what you stand for. You need to know your core values. You need to be principled. And you need to take a position which is appreciated within the organization or within your ecosystem or communities. Risk is when you move out of the defined barriers that protect you from error or from a disaster. And this is where some people get enticed. It could be money, it could be peer pressure, it could be wanting to be like the Joneses, it could be wanting to achieve what you don't have the capacities to achieve, that exposes you to making those wrong decisions or taking those wrong steps that put you in a position of risk. No matter how long it has taken you to build trust, one error and one failure to recognize risk and respond appropriately to risk could mess up your entire trust issue and your reputation. And reputational damage is something we can't afford in the oil and gas industry. So sometimes when I look at local content, when I look at the acceleration of indigenous capacity and the lofty goals and objectives we're achieving in the oil and gas industry, my only fear is the risk of overstretching the capacity, capability, competence, and skills we have, and exposing ourselves to a situation whereby the risk bites us in the feet, and then we go back years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we talk about, remember I talked about the qualities of women. So the way in which we approach trust building, we approach risk-taking, and then making sure it aligns with our values. That's what I think it's one key way in which we will navigate it differently in the energy industry. So thank you very much. Larry Raju.
Okay, so when you think about trust and risks, at the end of the day, what you are looking for is performance at the end of the day. Because you want to create the enabling environment, you want to mitigate the things that can impede the achievement of the goals. And from my own practical experience, when it comes to ladies or women folk leading, I think they do what we call in engineering front-loading, a lot of front-loading. And what's front-loading for me? What I see, women, ladies invest in understanding one another very, very well before taking any step. Women invest in the relationships that's required. They listen to what you say and they watch the body language that goes behind what we say. And to me, that more or less provides the platform for transparency and honesty. So for me, if I look at female-driven leadership, when you think about building trusts, if I look at our Aradel Women's Network, the amount of time they spent engaging with one another, contracting with one another, trying to get all the input to be able to come up with a constitution and which they all subscribe to me, it's amazing. It's just amazing. And that provides a very stable basis for moving forward. You see, when it comes to risks, because I have the benefit of being the only male here, I brought this book. It's a book that I read. I bought it in 2014 in Australia. It's called Who Switched Off Your Brain? And in actual fact, I was discussing with our president, I call her our president of the Women's Network, to say, one of the things the women do is they've discovered that, look, they need to grow in reading to broaden competence and views. And what we do is sponsor a book. Leadership, we sponsor a book. So this is the book I said, look, we're going to sponsor that every woman in our organization should read, because it was very revealing to me about the design, the neuroscience of males and females. We're different. God has designed us to be different, and for a very, very good reason. And no organization, like you said, can survive without taking cognizance of the uniqueness of the women folk. So for us, I see ladies being very, very careful about risks. They ask questions which causes someone to think and say, wow, I've never thought about that. And I think it comes from the innate characteristics of women of being able to multitask and think through so many dimensions in one go. Me as a person, if I'm doing something, I'm focused on it 100%. I can't think of 4 things at the same time. I have discovered that women are able to think about 10 things at the same time and still have very good quality coming from that. So to me, it becomes a plus to an organization that wants to manage risk, to tap from that innate strength of the women folk and build it into part of the risk mitigation strategies. Listening is something I have learned. In fact, I was going to say, Ngozi, I would prefer to just sit down here and listen and learn. But I have to say a few things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So if I hear from Bilola and yourself, a couple of things. Empathy is an innate character, quality within us that helps us to navigate trust and risk differently in the male-dominated sector. And that's what really helps us to be able to make the difference. And so quickly, I remember a story. I think when I just got this job, and the boss then he was an Oyibo man. So I hope there's no Oyibo here. Oyibo man. He didn't quite trust us Nigerians. But then I made up my mind and I said, we will show you that we can do this. And it was a high level of emotional intelligence, being able to know how to navigate what he wanted, what he saw as risk, and how to build trust was what got us to the point where then he could now relax and say, okay, I think these Nigerians can do it. So that's what I think women will bring to the table. So women, engage your empathy, engage high emotional intelligence, and that way you will navigate risk and you will navigate trust issues as we build our female partnerships. Thank you. So this is to Carol and Hansi. So Hansi, we'll start with you first. What is one structural barrier that women still face when we're trying to build or fund partnerships? So yes, I'll say energy partnership, but and this is not just only about the problem. Yeah. How can we work around it?
So I'll say a major problem would be what I classify as bankable market access. I'm happy that my brother here has said when you give women anything, they exceed all expectation in terms of delivery, because most women have that high level of excellence. The challenge, though, is that within this same breath that he has spoken, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to things that have high volume in terms of resources, if a woman applies for that, she won't get it. That is in most cases. And I'm talking about if you are coming from a business perspective. But when it's employment, you will get it. And so I'm happy to say that Adaora, I was having a discussion with her just before we started this session. And she was able to give a women-owned business a big opportunity in the gas industry, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of contracts. So when I look at communities, so let me start with contracts, capital, communities, and communication. Those 4 things are some of the things that we can use to address it. And one of the things I would say, of course, I have to refer to the UN in terms of best practices, is affirmative procurement, a push for affirmative procurement, and gender-responsive budgeting. In anything they say, show me the money. You know, the technicality is there, but where is the money? So any organization that does not put deliberate gender-responsive budgeting practices in place has already excluded the capacity for some women to build capital. Because once we don't build capital, we're just still talking and playing in the small league. The second thing is that when you look at the capital base or whatever, let me just say the opportunities, affirmative procurement, which means that at least 30% of contracts in any organization must be earmarked for women-owned businesses. If there is no deliberate policy, you will still exclude women in getting the capital that they need to finance the kind of things that they need to finance. And so I can say categorically that even now, the Nigerian government has identified the need through a lot of advocacy over the past 7 years. But this current administration, through the Bureau for Public Procurement, are now going to bring out a national policy on affirmative procurement, which means that any government contract in Nigeria must have at least 30% reserved for women-owned businesses. And I know they're going to pass it very soon. A lot of work has gone into that. And I will say that when you are developing these policies, you must have women in the room. And I want to appreciate the DG for the BPP, because one of the things he did was that he made sure that every stakeholder, including women, were on the table when the policy was being developed. And then I will end by saying that for all the women that are in any kind of community, because I know that Madam Ibilola is a guru in that, and I know that Wiyog is here, and Dunia, and so on and so forth. We must use our networks more strategically. All this meeting, talking is not enough. Advocacy is not enough. You must harness all your skills, come together, build some sort of consortium, so that you go as a group, get something, deliver on it, get the first capital you need, and use it to establish the women and the businesses that you need to establish, and the communities. That, for me, would be one major solution.
Thank you very, very much. So we need to move from talk to action. Deliver. And I think I like what you said about affirmative action. It needs to become an acceptable lingo in the corporate world. Not only in the corporate world, in the industry. There is nothing wrong with it. If you're going to help women, we're probably already disadvantaged, but if you're going to help us actually come into our own, then affirmative action is required. Thank you, Carol.
All right, thank you. I think Madam Hanzi has done an amazing job on speaking on the external barriers. So my focus will be on internal barriers that impact us as women. And the first is around, and I say this from my experience leading a community of female professionals. And one of the first things I did as the president was to sit down and cause us to align on the priorities that we have as a community. What is our objective? What do we want to achieve? And what is the result? What is the value proposition of what we are selling as a community, as a group, or as a partnership? Because I find out that misaligned priorities is one of the first major issues that, dissolve partnerships significantly. Because everybody has an interest, right? She talked about public sector, private sector. Everybody coming into that partnership has an interest. If we don't understand what our interests are and align around common interests, we're not going anywhere. So this affirmative action is not going to work when we're not together. So the first thing is to make sure that our interests are aligned. The second is around establishing accountability. So once we have aligned our interests, then we need to know who is accountable for what. What are you bringing to the table? What is your role in this partnership? And how are you going to enable that role to succeed? Because everybody is bringing something different. Some people are bringing capital. Some people are bringing networks. It's just the same as every business partnership. There are some partners that can go on the street and hustle for business, while the other guy is the technical guy in the office doing all the drawings and everything. So, you have to understand what everybody's role is and drive for that accountability to actually succeed. Then the last one is making sure that you manage shifting priorities. The truth is our partnership is for a long haul. Our priorities change. And as women, we understand this so well. One of the keynote speakers spoke about how she had to juggle, changing her career in the middle of raising young toddlers, twins, and all of that. So as women, we are many things to many people at every point in our lives. So how do you manage those shifting priorities to ensure that you still deliver on that partnership and you still deliver the value that you promise to bring to the table? So I think those three for me are critical. Making sure that your priorities are aligned, ensuring that there's accountability, and also ensuring that you're managing those shifting priorities to deliver the value that that partnership seeks to achieve. As women, we need to keep an eye on that because, and I think not just as women, men also, but I think they slightly do a better job because they're, as he has mentioned, priorities most of the time are just one way, right? They just have this particular goal, and once they hit that goal, they're there. But as a woman, you are thinking about 4 or 5 goals you want to hit. And if they ask you which one is much more priority, you honestly can't decide. Everything is important. No ball must drop, right? So how do we ensure that even going into these partnerships, these coalitions, everybody's interests are covered and we're able to make up the slack for each other and deliver the value we need? Thank you.
So when the one you just said, I remember what the keynote speaker said. He said that is a saying that says that, it says, "For God so loved the world, I did not send a committee."
Exactly.
So this issue of, misaligned priorities, I think it's really important. Because if we're not together, knowing women, we come, I think this is what I want to achieve, that's what I want to achieve. when we're not aligned, the tendency then is that that partnership is going to die sooner or later. So women, I think while Hansatu has told us about the external barriers, the structural barriers, let's look to the internal structural barriers as well, which is, have I aligned? Are we sure we're going in the same direction? What is it we want to do? Then when we are sure, how do we hold ourselves accountable to ensuring that we meet that? And then if as we go on, the priorities need to change, either from one person or from both of us, then how do we make it work all the same? Thank you very much. So I will move on then now to the last set of questions. I will ask Ibilola first. Yeah. So we're looking to the future. 5 years from now, and I know you're really great and correct to answer this because you've been in this, you've been, and therefore you have begun to chart the vision and what it is you would like to see with respect to female partnerships. So 5 years from now, what in your view would be different about sub-Saharan Africans' energy networks if female-driven partnerships scale? If they scale, how would we look like? What would be different?
Okay, so I'll just speak from the perspective of being a female engineer running an oil and gas consulting company. I belong to several groups, and I sit on the board of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, which is a male-dominated group. We have over 126 members, and only about 5 of us are female-owned in that group. Very focused, driven by partnerships, strategic alliances, joint ventures, and consortia efforts, capacity, capability, competence focused. EPC contracts, huge ticket items are the focus in those groups. I mean, we do have a social platform where we say happy birthday and stuff like that, but there is the business focus group, which is focused on delivering value to clients and customers. I believe that female-owned businesses can come together more and drive success through consortia, joint ventures, and collaboration. And I would love to see more strategic partnerships of female-owned businesses, not just within Nigeria, but creating the platforms, like through the pattern, we've also created an Africa Local Content Association, which actually takes our collaboration within a national space into a regional and global space. And like Hansatu said, there's the private sector, there's the public sector, there's the governmental groups, there's the non-governmental associations. There are female-led groups, entities in those groups. How do we bring those interests together, and how do we align to be able to scale our goals and objectives as females, leveraging the kind of policy government is going to put in place in terms of affirmative action? If government legislates 30% contracts should go to females, and females cannot come together as a consortium, female-led businesses cannot come together as a consortium with the right capacity to qualify to access those opportunities, then really we haven't helped ourselves. So we really need to start thinking long-range capacity through collaboration, and how do we leverage policy that is put in place through advocacy to be able to create a bigger space and a bigger pie for female-led businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laraju.
Okay, 5 years from now, I'll talk about the internal. I don't believe I can solve the world problem, but from the simple things we do. If we continue to mentor women professionals properly, and continue to place a bet on them. And when I say place a bet, is sometimes looking at transferable skills. In my team, I've placed a bet on a number of ladies and they've never let me down. We needed to form a vertical in our business. And how many of you would believe that a reservoir engineer would do a commercial deal to build a vertical for a company? And it was highly successful. For the last 3 years, we've been generating revenue from that vertical. It was led by a reservoir engineer working in commercial. So that's the type of things. So that's the type of bets we place on ladies in Aradel. If we continue to do that, number one, I think we'll see women in energy expressing and showcasing a wider breadth of competence. Number two is that we'll see a lot of confidence to take on new challenges. Number three, which I don't think people may like to hear, but the reality is that it is important to be contented. Not every lady will become the MD of a company. Let's have that. That's the reality of life. But it's important that our ladies are contented wherever we support them, and you are where you are contented. You say, yes, it's not that I've been let back. I'm happy to be where I am. Because that speaks to emotional well-being. And then the fourth one is the bit which I think the president of the SP mentioned, is about being compassionate. For me, what's that being compassionate is to recognize that women in energy, in the energy industry, you are the top of the bracket of all the women we have in country. So there's the bit to look beyond the energy industry and think of what can you give back to the women folk, even outside the energy industry. Permit me, there's one important story I'm going to tell. I have an aunt. I have 3 aunts, I have 3 daughters, I have 3 sisters. There are so many number 3s with women, so I'm very used to being alone, or being in my team. I'm in the minority. It's more of women. My aunt was never educated. Yet when you meet her before she died, you could tell that the potential in this woman, she would have become a professor. Without going to school, she could understand English, because her younger brother, who happened to be my dad, was the only person that had the benefit of education. So she didn't have that opportunity. And when I called her before she died, she would even try to speak English words to me. And so I just asked myself, in today's world, we need to create a future where that never happens. That's number one. We empower the women folk such that these 4 C's I'm saying, and I'm saying it's not going to be the men alone. Women need to do a lot to be compassionate and pull up the next gen and people in other industries other than energy.
Thank you very much. So women, we're in the top bracket in the industry, in the country. What are we giving back to make sure that we have females in positions, in places, doing things, not necessarily MDs, but basically content, but deliberately fulfilling their potential? And so I'll ask you the same question as well. 5 years' time, what do you see?
Well, if we do what we're supposed to do properly, and for me, if we implement gender-responsive budgeting and affirmative procurement, and we amplify the communications around that to influence others, for me, honestly, within the next 5 years, we will see a more robust economic climate for this nation. Because one thing that, because I know a lot of the time, the men, these women, they've come with their talk, but the truth of the matter is that there's an economic cost to inclusion that runs into trillions of dollars. So we just need to get things right in our nation. And I think we must also go for information. Let us be informed. I will say to, even now, I'm happy that our council chairman, Abi, you call him chairman? Yes. Our council chairman, and I know you may not be the one next year, I don't know how long the tenure is, but one of the things I would recommend to the society is that when you are doing your conference, don't make the women sort of a separate event. On your opening day, when you have a full room, invite one strategic woman that can speak effectively to gender responsiveness in the energy sector. Let her be part of the opening ceremony, because you have a full hall and all the decision makers are here. So for me, those are one of the things that I think we can do better, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Carol, I'll come to you. So what's that one thing that could accelerate our female-driven energy partnerships in 5 years?
I think for me, it's about having more women in the areas of policy and governance. Because as she said, there's a lot that is going on, and this is being driven by men. But it's wonderful to have more women in that space. So where these coalitions are being built and all these structures are being, built up with women businesses coming forward, there's somebody on the receiving end, on the other side of the table, who is a woman, who understands the gender nuances of the energy sector and is able to, dissect that and understand what the investments require and all that the support that those businesses need to thrive. So I like to see more of that in the policy space, in the space of governance. We're seeing that happening across, other sectors. So we have a coalition called WILAN, which has WIMBIZ, Whisker, and they're pushing for more female representation in politics and in government. It would be strategic and very important for that WILAN to extend its hand also to the energy sector as well. So we cover all sectors, because that's really where the game changer is going to happen. And that's what I see.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. And so with that, we've come to the end of our session. So thank you very much, because what we're hearing here, and I like what Hansatu said, she called it affirmative procurement. But generally, I've known it as affirmative action. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong in basically saying, we will ring fence a certain percentage or a certain amount or a certain section of certain policies, of budgets, of opportunities to be able to get women move forward. You want energy partnerships by women to scale? Because we want the economic cost to be significantly reduced in the country. Because we do know that women, even though it's not, they are the SMEs, they're the ones that carry out the small businesses and what have you, but we carry we bear the brunt of the work in keeping the family going. And therefore, there's an economic cost if women are not included, if women are not supported to scale in partnerships. So my ask today, and I like what she said. Chair, please. Next year, let WLP not only be women, because indeed here was very, very full this morning, but now we just have a few scattering of men, more women. Let's have a centric discussion about what it will take for us to move the women forward, because like I said, we need to go farther and not just far in the energy sector, and for that you need to go with a woman. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the session.
So, in the spirit of women-driven partnerships, I will be wrapping up the session. Yes, Richmond will be here. Exactly. So, I want to say thank you, everyone, staying on, for all of you who are here. I want to say thank you to this amazing panel. It was expertly handled. I want to say special thank you to Mr. Daramola for being our he for she. And I got a lot of insights. We can see that we need the platforms, we need the policies, but we women, I was having a conversation with the MD of Platform, and I said, it's one thing for us to have those doors open for us. It's another thing for us to be ready to walk through those doors and walk through those doors confidently. So please, can everyone give a round of applause to this panel? And I would love to invite our conference chair, Mr. Francis, Council Chair, sorry, Council Chair, I'm so sorry, to come and help us give the gifts. We'll start in order of, okay. No, we'll do the pictures and yeah. Okay, so, Mr. Daramola, can we give the gifts, then we'll have the picture taking. Yeah, thank you. All right. Next, Ibilola. Thank you. All right, Carol. Yeah.
Agaya Mata. Thank you. And our very beautiful moderator, Ngozi Adeleke. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so now can we have pictures, Prof? So just, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, let him come. Hold on, we are waiting for one of our esteemed guests, conference chair, first female conference chair, very befitting. Why do I keep saying conference? Council chair, for Christ's sake. Very befitting for this panel session, if I say so myself. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Okay. While we wait for our esteemed MC, because the show must always go on, right? Yeah. So our GIS ladies, are you here? Are you ready? Our girls in STEM, who's making the presentation? So one thing that WLP is very big on is passing the excellence to the next generation. We have our awards to the girls in STEM. We give them mentorship and opportunities, and a year later they come back and tell us what they've done with those opportunities, and we also announce the recipients for the next feedback. And so I want to introduce Osazena. Yeah, all right. Hello everyone. I know we need to take pictures, I know we need to talk, but could we do that quietly so that we're able to listen to her speak? All right, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nosazena Iesoge Edopolo, a graduate intern at Profess Energy Services. I'll be welcoming you to this recap presentation celebrating the recipients of the Women Leadership Program Girl in STEM Leadership Award. The Girl in STEM Leadership Award is a prestigious recognition presented to exceptional female leaders who have made impactful contributions towards promoting gender inclusion and excellence in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Each year, only 6 remarkable women are selected from student chapters across Nigeria. Women who have not only excelled in their fields, but who have gone beyond the classroom to serve, inspire, and lead. 6 names, 6 stories, 1 shared commitment to excellence. The Girl in STEM Leadership Award is built on 4 foundational pillars: academic achievement, volunteering, community impact, and leadership. These are not just categories on a form. They represent a standard of excellence that goes far beyond grades and titles. They speak to character, consistency, and courage. The women we're about to celebrate have embodied all 4 pillars, not partially, but fully and remarkably. Let us begin by acknowledging what brought us to this stage: academic excellence. We have Nosazena, the 2nd best graduating student from the Department of Petroleum Engineering, University of Benin. Olayeye, a 1st-class graduate from the Department of Chemical Engineering, Obafemi Awolowo University. Oluwadamilola, the 2nd best graduating female student from Chemical Engineering Department, Federal University of Technology, Minna. We have Miriam, the best graduating female student from Department of Chemical Engineering, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. And we have Teresa, the 2nd best graduating student from Department of Petroleum and Gas Engineering at Now University, Nigeria. And Mary, the best student from Department of Electrical Engineering at Igbenedion University, Okada. These are not just ordinary results. We showed up, we competed, and we led our department academically, while also leading our communities. But academic excellence alone did not earn us this recognition. What really sets us apart is what we choose to do with our knowledge and our time, our influence outside the classroom. From community outreach, visits to orphanage and undeserved neighborhoods, to the International Day of Girl Child, to Pad a Girl initiative that put menstrual health products and education directly into the hands of secondary school girls, we have served without reservation. We organized STEM outreach programs reaching hundreds of students, participated in energy sessions, volunteered at national and regional SPE events, and advocated for inclusion at every level. This is community impact, not as a line on a CV, but as a way of life. And this has shown us that the most powerful engineers are not just those who solve technical problems, but those who look up from their work and ask, who else needs my help? Now let's meet our awardees individually. Our first awardee is Nosazena Iesoge Edopolo, a petroleum engineering graduate and graduate intern at Profess Energy Services. She played a leading role in earning SPE Uniben the Best Student Chapter in Nigeria Council and contributed to an initiative that earned the chapter's regional recognition across Africa for outstanding community involvement. She led the Powered Up a Girl Child initiative, STEM outreach program, impacting over 400 secondary school students, inspiring the next generation to boldly pursue careers in STEM. And she also received the Outstanding Volunteer Award from SPE Benin City section. This image captures just a framework of the work, the webinar, the outreach, the certificates, and the moment of service that made this recognition possible. Our next awardee is exactly that kind of leader who earns recognition not just for what she achieves, but for how she brings others along with her. We have Miriam Yunus Lawal, a chemical engineering graduate and graduate intern at Cypher Crescent, who has demonstrated that excellence wears many faces: academic, professional, and community. Named Woman of the Year 2025 by ENACOS ABU, she has served as head of operation for the Girl Tech Vision, empowering women in technology and entrepreneurship across northern Nigeria. Her final year research paper was accepted at Nice Conference 2026, and she has spoken at some of the most prominent platforms in our region, including the Innovate Zaria 2.0 Tech Conference. From the field to the conference stage, from mentorship sessions to community drives, this image tells a story of a woman who leads with both intellect and heart. From the classroom to the competition stage, our next awardee has carried Nigerian flag to international platforms and returned with gold. We have Olayeye Jesu Tofumi, a chemical engineering graduate and graduate intern at Aerosh Limited, who has distinguished herself both technically and in leadership. She is a winner of the SPE African Regional Petrobul Competition and a recipient of the SPE Lagos Section Technical Excellence Award. She has also been recognized as an Afro-Tech Girls Scholarship Awardee and served as the 2025-2026 Offshore Technology Conference Asia Student Delegate. This image reflects competition stages, award ceremony, and leadership gatherings. There are leaders who lead from the front, who speak, build, and create spaces where none existed before. Our next awardee is one of them. We have Omotosho Oluwadamilola, a chemical engineering graduate who served as outstanding chapter president of SPE Foods Mina. Recognized by the SPE Nigeria Council in 2025, she has spoken at the SPE Benin section on strategies for winning the SPI Presidential Award, presented at STSC 2026. She has volunteered across multiple national outreach programs. Her leadership has left a structural legacy in every space she has occupied: a speaker, a volunteer, and a chapter builder. Our next awardee reminds us that impact is not measured just in awards won, but in the lives directly touched by our works. We have Teresa Njang Inyang, a petroleum and gas engineering graduate whose contributions span research, community service, and inclusion. She placed first runner-up at the SPE African Paper Contest 2025, co-led the Powered a Girl initiative, reaching over 200 secondary school girls, organized Energy for Me session, supported undeserved children through community health. Our chapter also earned the Regional Outstanding Award for Community Involvement in 2025, a recognition she helped make possible. And finally, we close with an awardee whose achievement spans continents, prove that talent nurtured in our Nigerian chapters belongs confidently on the world stage. And we have Okobo Mary, an electrical and electronics student who took Nigerian engineering excellence all the way to Shenzhen, China, winning the grand prize at the Huawei ICT Competition Global Finals 2025 in the network track. She has served as Vice President of SP Igbeneghu University Student Chapter, received the NIPED Scholarship, and she was also named Innovator of the Year 2025-2026 by the Nigerian Universities Engineering Student Associations. Behind our awards are not just achievements, but challenges we overcame and lessons learned. Miriam spoke about the difficulty of finding a career path after graduation and securing internship opportunities. Moving forward, she hopes to see more intentional industry placement opportunities for young female engineers. Nostazena shared the challenge of balancing her girl in STEM responsibilities with her graduate internship and volunteer commitment, learning that impactful leadership is about empowering others, not doing everything yourself. She hopes to expand STEM outreach and mentor more young girls. Oluwadamilola reflected on balancing multiple responsibilities across academic commitments, leadership roles, and volunteering. She looks forward to contributing more to mentorship and professional development for young women in STEM. Teresa spoke about balancing leadership with her final year demands and personal life. She hopes Girl in STEM leadership continues to inspire more girls and create stronger mentorship and sponsorship opportunities. Mary reflected on learning to lead while still growing herself and pushing through moments of self-doubt. She looks forward to gaining industry experience and encouraging more girls to pursue STEM. Olayeye highlighted balancing multiple leadership responsibility during the transition from university into professional life. She looks forward to mentoring more girls and building sustainable programs that empower the next generation. On behalf of the 6 awardees, we are truly grateful to be celebrated once again on this platform. To the SP Women Leadership Program and the SP Nigeria Council, thank you for seeing us, honoring us, and giving us a voice. Thank you.
Congratulations. My apologies, I stepped out. I had to go take care of the raffle I do every. The challenge today is that we kept picking people who were not in the room. So we need to pick and pick and pick. Then we landed on somebody who won the business class ticket and said he doesn't want it, he wants a laptop. So we now beg the person that won the laptop to give him the laptop and take the business class ticket. You see why I wasted time? I was mediating and solving problems. So thank you for understanding. Thank you very much. But we're able to solve the problem. Okay, before Prof does our thank you, the WLP decided to appreciate those people who were early birds to come into this room today. By the way, I don't know if you've been told we're supposed to do a QR code on the screen where you can give us your feedback. We're going to try to do this again. Maybe I'll see if I can do it sometime in the evening on Wednesday. Just flash the QR code if you know somebody who attended WLP and is not here. When we do it on Wednesday, encourage them to capture this. I'll give it a minute on Wednesday. So this is a feedback for our WLP program. Give us your feedback. It helps us to do better. You know, they say feedback is the breakfast of champions. So please give us your feedback. Now for the early birds, we have 20 of you. If you hear your name as we close after the vote of thanks, go to the back. Where's my prof? Go to the back and get your gift for coming early. All right? Teresa Ewuze, 1200 hours. Asisat Makonjola, 1235. Asisiku Ose Bahiamen, Andrea, 1255. Ebere Chuku Olivia, 1255. This is my 1255. The triplets. The triplets of 1255. See them, see them, see them. Ebere Chuku Olivia, 1255. John Ajonye, 1255 as well. Adenike Olugbade, 1 p.m. Fifi Echo, 1 p.m. Stella Okenwa, 109. Ifeoluwa Koleo Shaw, 112. Fedaus Muhammad Ali, is that your grandfather? 114. Dorothy Abel, 118. Isu Emmanuel, 119. Blessing Akintade, 120. Oki Joseph Adibo, 120. Faith Bamidele, 124. Joy Alumona, 115. Okay, come. Heritage Olainka, 128. Fatima Hartstrop Oriade to Hartstrop, 121. a Yowan and Diayo Ayeton 130, or Sariman Destiny 120. So all 20 of you, please meet the WLP committee members, and they will give you your early bird gift. Thank you very much for being early. And for the final words, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi, our chairperson for WLP 2026. Prof, where are you? Please a round of applause for Professor Kafayat Adeyemi. She gives the final words. And once we're done with this, we'll just start prepping for the AGM.
Good evening, Council Chair, BOT members, our esteemed speakers, sponsors, participants, attendees, ladies and gentlemen. It's been over 3 hours of insightful discussions, sharing experiences, thoughts, practical issues. I like the two sessions because it was not theory, it was practical. People saying how it is from their own side of it. So it's like saying your own side of the story. I hope from all of these conversations, we have things to take on upon ourselves, on personal babies, and to our organizations. So on behalf of SPE Nigerian Council, we say thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you next year for another edition. Please fill the feedback form to give us your feedback on this WLP program for this year. And to my committee members, thanks for the work, hard work, and thanks for putting everything together to make this work. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's it for SPE members. There, please, we'll have a cocktail for you to the left here. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a cocktail for you to the left here, please. We'll have a cocktail for you to the left. Tomorrow, we'll continue at 10 a.m. Tomorrow is the awards dinner as well. Tomorrow, that will be at the convention center. It's for 30K. Go to the registration desk to get the ticket. We'll have a cocktail for you here on the left. Please, please, let's not waste good food. Kindly just proceed that way and grab a bite or take a drink.